Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to All Things Brunswick. We have a great guest today. I'm excited. We have Sara Lavere from the Board of Elections, and she is going to answer some questions I've been thinking about for a while.
Oh, good.
Welcome, Sara.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Well, we both know that you're very busy.
Yes, it's a busy season. There's an election coming up, a big one.
Yes. So, and I know that some of the rules and regs have changed since the last election. Could you fill us in on a few of those?
Yeah, I think some of the major changes we've seen since the last presidential election would be the photo ID requirement. So that is now in place. So voters, when they appear in person or vote by mail, they are going to be asked to provide an acceptable form of identification. So that is somewhat new. We did have that in the primary.
How do you do that by mail?
So by mail, you're asked to make a copy of your photo ID. Now, if you're unable to make a copy or for some other reason you don't have a photo ID, and this goes for in-person too, we have a photo ID exception form where a person can tell why they aren't able to provide the photo identification.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good.
Yeah. I think another big change is absentee ballots. So absentee by mail ballots used to have a grace period. If they were postmarked by Election Day, we could receive them 3 days later. That is no longer the case. They are due at the Board of Elections office at 7:30 p.m.
On the day
on Election Day, November 5th. Yes.
I like that. I like that very much.
Yeah.
And I bet that saves you work too.
It does make our post-election process a little bit easier. Yeah.
Great, great. And so those are the two biggest ones, right? Are there more?
Probably those are the two that come to mind, though.
Okay, good. Have you had a lot of people who are registering to vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Voter registration tends to increase going into a presidential general election, because a lot of people don't participate in midterms or municipal elections, and they don't really think about it until we get into, August, September of a presidential election year, and it's kind of all you hear about, all you see, and people go, oh, I should register to vote. I might want to participate in this one. So we always see an uptick leading up to.
And Friday is an important day.
Yes, Friday, October 11th is the voter registration deadline. So anyone who wants to vote by mail or vote in person on Election Day needs to register by October 11th. And so if that form's being mailed, it can be postmarked by October 11th, and we'll still be able to process it.
Great.
And if someone misses that voter registration deadline, they do have the option to go to an early voting location during the 17 days that we're open and show acceptable photo ID plus proof of residence.
Right.
And they can do same-day registration. We can register the voter, and they would get to vote that day.
Good deal. Yeah. So remember that, folks. Get somewhere and register before Friday, or go to an early voting site and you can register and vote at the same place.
Yeah, and I think another important thing, not just registering, is checking your registration. So the State Board of Elections has a wonderful voter lookup tool where you can put in your first and last name. You can go a little deeper and put your county. It will show that you're registered. If you are, you can confirm that you're registered at your current address, because if you move, your registration needs to move with you. You can also see your sample ballot, which I think is really important. We have a really long ballot this year, so voters can pull that sample ballot and mark it up ahead of time and take it in like a little cheat sheet.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And I tell everyone, because I think one of the first questions I get is, do you have a sample ballot? And so I've been telling them to go to your site.
Yes. Yeah. I think pulling it directly from the voter search is going to make sure that you get the right ballot, because in Brunswick County, we do have 2 different ballot styles based on the North Carolina House district. So it's really difficult to just give out a sample ballot to someone without knowing where they live.
Exactly, because, folks, we have 2 representatives, and those of you who are used to Frank Eiler being your representative may now have changed to Charlie Miller. So make sure you know which area you're in, and make sure that you know that you have the correct ballot.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's super. So when we early voting, we have 6 open polls.
Yes.
Now, and they all basically have the same hours except for the government complex.
Correct. Yes. So the government center, we tend to have different hours there because if we had the extended hours and the weekend hours, we wouldn't really get a lot of activity because most people that vote there are at the county complex
Right.
doing other business. Yeah, so
Exactly.
we try to limit that one a little bit.
So that one is actually 8 to 5?
8:30 to 5 Monday through Friday,
Okay.
and all locations are required on November 2nd, the last Saturday, to be open 8 until 3. So the government center will be open on a weekend just that last Saturday.
Right, okay. And the other polling places will be open from 8 until 7:30, is that
Yes,
correct?
Monday through Friday, and then Saturday we've got hours from 10 to 4, and Sunday noon to 5. So yeah, we have a lot of opportunities for people to vote. And with early voting, we track the wait time, kind of like they do at Disney World. You can log onto our website, and we update that every 30 minutes, so you can try to make a decision about when you want to go vote based on how long the lines are.
Right, because we all, I think, are anticipating a lot
Yes.
of busy voting
Yes.
places.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a busy one.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree. What was the question I was going to ask you? Darn.
Oh.
There's so many of them
There are
right out
so
of my
many.
head. Oh, gosh. Well, I have been doing some outreach, and I have registered some voters
Good.
and have talked to some folks that weren't ready to register. But have you seen a lot of change in affiliation?
Not drastic. There has been a sort of slow slide where we continue to grow with unaffiliated voters.
Sure.
And now I haven't really looked at the numbers in the past few months to see what those differences look like. But when you look over the years, there has definitely been a slow rise in the number of unaffiliated voters in
Right.
Brunswick County and statewide, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, I believe that that's the highest count, isn't it? It's unaffiliated.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I think so. Yes. You probably know better than I do.
Well, I think the reasoning behind that is that a person feels if they are unaffiliated, they can vote for the person instead of the party. And whether you agree with that or not, I mean, it is their choice.
Yes.
So, and I tell. This year, I am training greeters.
Okay. How fun.
In the last election, I trained observers.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter who you are if you're working the polls. The most important thing to remember is do not impede the voting process.
Yes.
Because everybody has that right. So
They do, and
Yeah.
impeding it is actually against the law.
it
so
is.
it is important to allow the voters to get in
Right.
and be safe
Yep.
and comfortable doing so.
And I have to tell you, Sarah, you do a great job.
Thank you.
A very good
I'm
job.
very proud of the team we've got.
You've
in
got a
Brunswick
great
County.
team. Yep. I haven't heard of too many areas here that have had issues. Not like statewide. Compared to statewide, I think, I don't know, I think maybe we're the safest one.
I like to think we're the best, but I might be biased. And I
Of
think
course
I
we
think it's
are.
important for everyone to know that elections are run by humans, and sometimes humans do make mistakes. I mean, in my 18 years, I've made mistakes. My team has made mistakes, but I think what's important is identifying them, fixing them,
Right.
learning from
Right.
them, and being transparent about them, not,
Right.
not being quiet or
But you have an
Pretending.
outstanding record.
thank you. I appreciate
Very
that.
much so.
Yeah.
And I want to talk a little bit about something I heard the other day about a woman stating that someone had stolen her identification. Is that happening in our county?
Are you talking about the news story that came out, I think, yesterday? Yes. So we have had some instances where we've received voter registration forms that come to us through a voter registration drive. The forms turned into the state and then forwarded to us. And when we process the forms, they match the information for a voter, but not exactly. And so anytime there's a difference in personal information like date of birth, driver's license, or the last four of a social security number, we don't automatically change that. We send a letter to the voter asking them to confirm, are you making a change, or is this correct, or what we have correct? We want to make sure before we update the record.
That's great.
Yeah, so we have had now 18 instances where we've had a form come in, we send the voter a letter, and they respond that they did not complete a voter registration form.
In our county?
In our county, yes. And so what we do at our level is we document that, and we get a statement from the voter if they're willing to give one, and we forward that and the forms to the State Board of Elections. It's actually the State Board of Elections that conducts all investigations.
And so are they doing that at this time?
They are, yes.
Well, So if somebody should get something in the mail that pertains to any of that, they should check with you, right?
Yes, I think if someone receives mail, now there's a lot of election mail coming now, campaign material. There are third-party groups that have mailed voter registration forms and absentee requests to people.
Gosh.
So those are a little bit different, but if you get mail and the return address says Brunswick County Board of Elections, I think it's probably important that people open the mail, look at it, and if anything's amiss with whatever you're receiving or you don't understand it, definitely reach out to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and in the last election, being around and, like I said, training observers and whatnot, I did not see that we had a lot of issues. They were very minor. And I think that probably that is because you run a tight ship.
Yeah, I think we work really hard to train our poll workers. We work really hard to
It
anticipate
shows.
where people are going to vote. Do we need to beef up early voting staff, election day? I think some of our biggest problems in the primary were long lines at a couple of locations that we didn't correctly make that guess, so.
Right. Well, I know that you have a great group of chief judges.
Yes, they're
They're
wonderful.
and the associates as well. And everybody is so helpful.
Yes.
When you go into a poll.
We try to impart on our precinct officials that first and foremost, it's a customer service role. They are interacting with voters, they're interacting with candidates, they're interacting with observers and electioneers, and they really, first and foremost, need to be respectful and kind and patient if that's necessary. Yeah.
Well, I guess that could go both ways.
Oh, definitely.
Because I think that people going in to vote should react the same way. How many people do you have at one voting poll?
It really depends on the size of the precinct and how many people we anticipate. We have some pretty small precincts, and we have some very large precincts. I would say that our largest precinct might have 17 poll workers present. Yeah, it's a fine balance between having the right number and having too many, because if you have too many, they just get in the way. Yeah. So we've tried really hard to analyze that this election, guess how many people are going to come out and look at how many check-in stations we need, how many voting booths we need to, get those people through in an efficient manner.
Wow, 17.
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, those chief judges are real managers.
Yeah, they have to be, I guess.
They do.
Well, they run very smoothly, and the ones that I have been at, which has been most of them,
Yeah.
they do. They run very smooth. I like the idea that there is someone there when somebody comes through the door.
Yes.
And that person can direct you the right way. It's almost like a host.
Yes, that's a good way to think of it.
Yeah, and they're very friendly. They tell you which way to go. There's no need for confusion because they're right there.
Yeah, and now they even remind voters, make sure you've got your ID handy because they're going to ask for your photo ID. And, do you know that you're registered to vote? Have you checked your registration? So on election day, if there is a line and the greeter is available, they should be asking people that to make sure they're in the right location.
Perfect. Can you tell us all a little bit about provisional ballots?
Yeah, provisional ballots are ultimately a fail-safe way for someone to vote when they appear and their qualifications or their registration can't immediately be verified. So they show up on election day, they're not in the book, or they show up on election day and they're in the wrong location, which happens a lot.
Yeah.
And so we offer a provisional ballot because without having the official registration at a location, we cannot issue a ballot to a voter. Right. So that allows the voter to have the opportunity to vote, and it gives us the time period between election day and canvass to research that voter's eligibility. Right. So did we not find a registration, but maybe we lost it in a stack of papers at our office, or maybe it was received after the voter registration deadline, but the voter didn't realize it. So it allows us to find the answers to that and then make recommendations to the board about whether those ballots should be counted or not.
Okay, so that is the decision making.
Yes,
right
and another reason that we have provisional ballots now is that anyone that goes in person and they don't have photo ID, the right form of photo ID for whatever reason, maybe it's too far expired, maybe it's an out-of-state ID and they've lived here 2 years, any of those reasons, those voters have to cast a provisional ballot unless they just forgot the photo ID at home.
Okay, now say somebody comes in with an ID that is outdated.
Yes.
Okay.
So it can be expired up to 1 year.
Okay.
So like a North Carolina driver's license can be expired up to 1 year. There's a provision for an older voter. So if someone is over 65, if their license was valid on their 65th birthday and they still have their driver's license that's expired, they can use that as long as it was valid on their 65th birthday.
Huh. I'll be darned. Yeah. Okay, so say that somebody is told they cannot drive anymore. Okay, but they still have that driver's license. Can they still use that? And
as long as it's expired less than a year, or if they're over 65 years old. We can also accept the non-operator's license or non-operator's ID that people can get from the DMV. A passport will also work. We issue photo IDs at our office. Someone could come to our office if they don't have a photo ID prior to the end of early voting. So during the early voting period, someone could come get a photo ID from our office.
I did not know that.
Yes, they would fill out a request form, and we would check the record against their voter registration record, and we would take their photo right then and there.
That's wonderful. Huh. That is wonderful. Well, I know I'm famous for using my passport in place of my license. I mean, when I fly, I use my passport in, I guess, in a lot of different places. So remember that, folks. You have to have a valid ID, and you can use your passport.
Yep, passport as long as it's not expired.
Yeah, that's great. Before we go any further, I think we're going to have to take a break and pay a few bills. But we've got so many things to talk about, so please stay with us, folks. What a great place we all call home, from colorful sunsets to panoramic coastal views. The best attractions are its people, a community of friends and family. J.K. Summers, attorney at law, recognizes this fact and is proud of his work to protect their rights. Put your trust in him to prepare wills and trusts, real estate transactions, contract and LLC creations, and criminal, traffic, and civil matters. Visit oakislandlaw.com or call 910-253-5572. J.K. Summers, attorney at law. Dana Varnum has worked as Assistant Register of Deeds since 2001. She is certified in every area of this office. She has graciously met the needs of her customers, which include from attorneys to the business community. Knowledge and experience are important to safeguard the vital records of our county. She believes in an open door policy for the public to voice their concerns. As Brunswick County continues to grow, the Register of Deeds office is directly involved in this growth. Dana is certified in deeds, deeds of trust, surveys, and passport manager, to name a few. To learn more about Dana, go to her Facebook page at Dana Varnum for Register of Deeds. She is a candidate who combines experience, education, and community commitment to this position. Vote Dana Varnum, Register of Deeds.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you or a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
Welcome back, everyone, to All Things Brunswick. I'm so glad you could join us today. We have a special guest. She is the director of the Board of Elections here in Brunswick County, Sara Lavere.
Yay!
And we're so happy to have you. We're finding out all kinds of great information today. We have talked about a lot of different things, but I guess maybe let's talk about polling places.
Yeah, so polling places for early voting, we have had a slight change from what we traditionally and historically have had. We are no longer in the Senior Center in Southport. This is the Brunswick Center at Southport.
Right.
That is in a very busy shopping center.
Yes.
And the number of voters that come through that location during early voting is not really conducive to the size of the parking lot and all of the other businesses that are now there. So we have found another location at the Oak Island Moose Lodge, a very large space, should be plenty of parking. I think it's going to be a suitable alternative. We just need to hope that people know to go there and not the senior center. So we will have a sign at the senior center by the road that says voting is not here, hopefully catching people before they pull into the driveway. So that's a change. And we have had to relocate some of the election day polling places as well. And this, I'm going to circle this back to, it all goes back to everyone should check their voter registration before every election, because when we make these polling place changes, and I'll touch on the ones we made and some of the reasons why, we mail a voter card. So it's a postcard, it's not very big, and it tells you polling place relocation. But if someone doesn't look at that or just puts it in with their junk mail and throws it in the recycling or the trash, they aren't going to know that their election day location has changed.
Exactly.
Yeah. And another big problem we see on election day is people just go to the last place they went to vote. And sometimes that's an early voting location.
Right.
So during early voting, voters can go to any open location, but election day, you really need to go to your assigned polling place.
Well, there are 6 places that you can vote early.
Yes. 6 for voting early.
Right. And if we could, and I let me see if I can remember them. We have in Leland at Brunswick Forest. Is that correct?
No, the early voting is at the Leland Cultural Arts
Oh,
Center.
yes, at the Leland Cultural Arts Center. And then we have in Southport, not the Senior Center,
Not the Senior Center.
the Moose Lodge, which is on Beach Road.
Long Beach Road.
Yep.
Yes.
And then we have the Senior Center in Supply at 101 Stone Chimney.
Yes.
And we have the Senior Center in Charlotte, which is, what is the name of that road?
Express Drive.
Express
I've
Drive.
got my list here, so I can help you.
Because you can go right out on 17 and turn into the Senior Center in Supply and do the same with the one in Charlotte, right?
Correct.
Okay, and then
there's one you forgot. The Sunset Beach. We are also down in Sunset Beach at the Sunset Beach Community Center at 200 Station Trail. So that's the furthest.
The government complex.
And the government complex.
And those hours are different, folks. So go online and check everything out so you know where to go.
Yes.
And vote early.
Mhm.
You know what? You might get sick on election day,
Mhm.
and then you can't get out of bed and you lose your opportunity to vote.
Yeah. And really early voting, if you show up and you're not registered for some reason, we can help you with same-day
Exactly.
registration. Early voting, you can go to any of the locations that are open.
Right.
And also we have wait time tracking during early voting. We don't offer that on election day because voters can't really choose where to go based on the wait time on election day. They need to go to the
Exactly.
same location.
Yep.
And we did relocate a few election day polling places. So hopefully
Okay.
voters received those cards in the affected precincts. And hopefully everyone's checking their registration to see where their election day location is. So we moved one in Charlotte. We have left the senior center for election day, and we're back at West Brunswick High School.
Okay.
And then we have made a change in the Charlotte area, the Grissett Town precinct. We have moved to Seaside United Methodist Church. In Boiling Spring Lakes, we've moved over to the high school, South
Right.
Brunswick High School. And then up in the Leland area, we've moved the Hood Creek precinct to the Bethel AME Church. And all of those changes were really based on space considerations. You know, we need a lot of
Absolutely.
parking. We need
Yeah.
a big open space inside. And some of the places we were just weren't conducive to that.
No, and I think with this year, anticipating a great turnout. You know,
Yes,
that's very
definitely.
important.
And we needed to, we have to have space to move people through efficiently and quickly.
Yes.
So,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah,
Well, that is great.
yeah.
So, okay, so we know where to go to vote now. And I suggest everyone that you pretty much have in mind who you're going to vote for when you go. So do some research, go online, read your candidates, all your candidates' information. Pretty much each and every one of them has something online. Know what you're going to do when you get there. Usually you'll have greeters from all the parties at the poll, and they will offer you a card or what I call a candidate card or a slate card to give you an idea of who to vote for. And we've talked a little bit about the process. When you go in the door, there is somebody very similar to a host who's going to direct you in the right way.
Oh, yes.
And each person that you speak to in the poll will tell you where to go next.
They do. Yes, they do.
So it should be a fairly simple process.
It should be. It should be, unless something's amiss with your registration or you don't have your ID or you show up to the wrong place election day. It should be fairly straightforward.
Right.
Yes.
So remember those things.
Yes.
Check your registration, check your ID, and make sure to check where you vote on election day if that's the day that you choose to vote.
Yes. Yes, and I think it's important because we may have lines on election day. If someone arrives and is in line at 7:30 when the polls close, they are still permitted to vote.
Right.
So we don't turn someone away at the closing time. We would still accommodate anyone that happens to be in line at that time.
Right. Now, if you have a line that's out the door, Sarah, and somebody shows up at 7:35.
They would not be allowed to vote because what happens at 7:30, a poll worker goes to the end of the line and they make a list of everybody that's standing in line
Okay.
at that time. So they would know that that person arrived after the cutoff.
Okay. Well, that clears that up. That's great.
Yeah.
So, what would you think would be another important issue that we should discuss? And
I've got a few. So
Okay,
I think
please.
that everyone, whether they need these options or not, should know about the accessible voting help that we have available in Brunswick County and in the state. So these are not just Brunswick County specific. So any polling location in the state of North Carolina, when the polls are open, that's early voting and election day, have curbside voting. So if someone can drive to the polls, but because of age or physical disability, they're unable to enter the building, they can pull into the marked curbside area and a poll worker will come out, get their information, check their ID, go inside, check them in, come back out with their ballot, let them mark the ballot, and then go in and insert the ballot into the tabulator, and then come back out with the I voted sticker for the voter. So they get a very similar experience without having to get out of their vehicle.
Right. And they do not have to drive.
No.
They can get their son or their brother or their daughter or whomever to drive them.
That's right. And I think it's important to note, too, that just because someone is in the car with a curbside voter, that doesn't necessarily mean that that person's eligible to vote curbside. There is an affidavit that the voter has to sign attesting that they, because of age or physical disability, cannot go inside.
Right.
Yes. Right. So that is a consideration. Another thing we have is inside every polling place, so we do hand-marked paper ballots now. They have a little rectangle that voters fill in. Every polling place will have an accessible voting machine. And what that machine will do, if someone, for instance, has dexterity issues with their hand or a tremor or something, they can use that to make their selections, and it will print a ballot for them that they can insert into the tabulator, just as if they had hand-marked it.
Right.
It also has capabilities for someone with a vision impairment. It can read the ballot to them. It's got these kind of remote controls that look like a video game that someone could
awesome.
use. Yeah. A lot of people may not know that those are available, but any voter for any reason can ask to use that.
Great.
And then the other thing everyone should know is that you're entitled to help when you go to vote. If you need it. So if I go to vote and my husband's with me, I can ask for his assistance with voting. So he could help me mark my ballot. He could read it to me, say I forgot my reading glasses and I can't see the ballot now. Right. He could help me with that. So a near relative can help any voter.
Right. But the voter must ask.
The voter must ask for it. If someone is illiterate, blind, or has a disability, they can have someone other than a near relative help them, but they have to state that they have one of those reasons why. And most voters aren't going to know that they have to say those things.
Right.
So our poll workers actually have a very handy script, and they can ask the questions of the voter to determine if the assistance is within the bounds of the law.
Okay.
Yeah, and a poll worker can help any voter. So if I were to go vote and the situation, I forgot my reading glasses, I could ask a poll worker to go into the booth with me and help me read my ballot and mark it if I wanted to.
So they pretty much, there's not a reason you can't vote. And it's pretty much anyone can have help.
Yes.
They just need to ask for it.
Yes, they
That's
need to ask
very
for it.
important. And you can have anyone help you. Just ask for
Yep, it has to be asked for. And the poll workers, again, they have a really nice script that, they can ask questions of the voter to get the information they need.
Yeah, and I love that machine.
It is really nice.
I think that's really awesome. I remember when you had your open house and you showed it. And I thought, wow.
That's when I realized nobody knew we had it.
I know, and I was mesmerized.
Yes.
Oh, that was great. Well, so folks, if your mom or your dad or say your gram feels that they are unable to go and vote, there is a way for them to vote.
Yes. And we did really touch on absentee by mail very much, but that is another option for anyone for any reason, not just someone who can't get out to go vote in person. Any registered voter in North Carolina can have an absentee ballot mailed to them if they complete an absentee ballot request. So there's a form or there's an online portal that a voter can use or a voter's near relative can use to request that ballot to be mailed to them. So we can mail a ballot to a voter, and once the voter receives that, they can vote from the comfort of their home. They do need to have 2 witnesses who are at least 18 years old that see that they have marked the ballot, not see how they marked the ballot. They're still entitled to a private, private choices on that ballot, but could attest to, if we needed them to, that they saw that person mark the ballot.
And you would have their names.
Yep, their
on
name
that
and their
form.
address, and they sign it. Yes. So, and the instructions are pretty clear that come with an absentee ballot, and then it gets returned to us, and it can be returned in person to our office. If we're close to Election Day and you don't know that the mail's going to get it to us by Election Day at 7:30, you can hand deliver it to our office. You can hand deliver it to an early voting location. You cannot hand deliver it on Election Day to a polling place. That is the difference.
Right. And you must have a copy of your ID.
Yes, a copy of your ID, or we do provide an exception form in the event that a voter is unable to provide that. They can complete an exception form.
Okay. Super. Okay, well, that's really important. So there are some things that you can do during early voting that you are not allowed to do on election day. So remember that too.
Yes.
That's very important. What are some of the other things that we don't want them to forget?
I think really reach out to your Board of Elections. You know, if everybody in here is Brunswick County, call our office. We have a lot of temporary staff right now assisting us with the phones because the volume is heavy.
Right.
Our website, the county recently got a new website, and I have found that the search function on that website is very good. You know, I've gone to it and just typed in absentee, and the first few results are the absentee voting page, or a page about ways I can vote, or things like that. So if you have questions, you can just go to the county website and type those in the search box, and you might find the answer.
Yeah, that's great. You've always had a great website.
Yeah, we try. It's really hard to keep up with, but
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it's very, very helpful. Very helpful. Okay, so we have covered actually, if you need help, you may have assistance voting. You just need to ask for it. If you are unable to get out of your vehicle, you can do curbside voting. And the person who drives you there, that person would be able to get out, go in, and vote while you are doing your voting. So you can kill two birds with one stone there.
Yep.
And also make sure we've given you ideas of things that you must check. Your registration, your ID, and where you can vote.
Yes.
Those three
Those
things
are very important, yes.
important. Wow. Lots of information, and I hope that everybody has been writing down things. I hope you're keeping notes. Oh, it's such a pleasure to have you, Sarah.
Well, I appreciate you letting me come. I really think that making sure people have the information needed to have a successful and pleasant experience voting, that's really important.
Oh, I agree with you. And we are very fortunate to have you.
Thank you.
And your team. I believe that I heard, I'm not going to tell you the counties, but I heard some very unhappy people from a couple of other counties, and it all dealt with their Board of Elections. So everybody should be as lucky as we are.
Oh, I appreciate
to
that.
have you. Now, let's talk a little bit about, I know that you've trained your poll workers.
Yes.
But in the future, I do know some folks that have said to me, I think next time around, I'm going to be a paid poll worker.
Yes.
Tell them how they can become a paid poll worker.
So you can call our office. It can be that simple. You can go to our website, and we have a page for precinct officials. We have a form where you can submit your name and your phone number and your email address and just tell us a little bit about yourself. And what we then do is we let you know what the next steps are. So we do offer a poll worker orientation session before anyone is invited to work, so that we can explain how long is the day and what does being a precinct official really mean? Like, what are the jobs that you might be asked to do? So we have everybody go through that training before we officially onboard them. Yes, so we have found over the years that sometimes people sign up, and when we assign them for election day and they find out they have to be there at 5:45 and don't get to go home until like 8:30 or 9 at night, they didn't really realize what they were signing up for.
I've heard a lot of people say they don't do that for that reason.
Yes. So really just reach out to us. So for this election, it is too late, but you can still reach out right now. And what we do is we just have a repository where we're holding all those names, so that once this election's over, probably after the first of the year, we can start doing those orientation sessions again.
Okay. Now, in each polling place, and I think it deals with, you do have people from both affiliations.
Yes.
Okay, and the way that is determined is the governor's affiliation. Is that correct?
So every polling place has a chief judge who runs who's really the manager, and two judges. So a 3-person team.
Right.
They cannot all be of the same party.
Right.
The law does not say who gets the majority of those positions. I think historically it's been the party of the governor, but really in Brunswick County, it's who's the best person, and that's how we make the decision.
Great.
We even have some chief judges that are unaffiliated just because they really are the best person to run the polling place, because the skills needed to be a poll worker are not necessarily the same as the skills needed to be the manager that's going to troubleshoot with voters and deal with angry
Exactly.
people and things
Right.
like that. So,
Yep.
so there is a mix, and we are very careful to make sure even in the assistants, if we have 17 people, we have a lot of people in that location. We make sure that there's a pretty good balance of the party representation.
Now, who determines? Do you choose them?
So the chief judges and judges are appointed by the parties.
Oh.
Well, they're recommended by the political parties and appointed by our board at a board meeting. Those are 2-year appointments, so they're done in odd number years. So we're coming up on the end of a term here. And the assistants, really, we determine those by interest. Who signs up, who's available, who lives in the area where we need somebody, and all of those types of things.
So actually, the chief judges that are working this election worked in the last one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, unless there was a vacancy. But yes, they've been working in those roles since at least 2023
Okay.
when they would have been appointed.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, so if you choose to do that, if you would like to be a paid poll worker, I suggest that you go to the Board of Elections and sign up, and they will direct you on what to do next.
Yes, definitely. We always need poll workers.
I know. And I was thinking about that today. I was thinking I've got to bring that up.
Yeah.
Because I've had a few people that have been in my classes
Oh.
who have stated that they would like to do that.
Oh, good. Okay, nice.
So I did suggest for them to go and sign up.
Good.
You know.
We hate to take from your your group, but
Well,
we could use all the
need
help we can get.
everywhere,
Yeah.
everywhere,
Yes.
everywhere. So my thing is, I just want to make sure that people know what to do so that they can vote without an issue.
Yes. Yes. Definitely.
So I think that is very, very important. So, anyway, now, if we have young people and we have our TARs that are part of our organization, and I've got a couple of them that are going to be 18 before Election Day, and they're very excited because they are going to vote for the
Yes.
first time.
Oh, good.
Now, how long is it any time before the election day that they turn 18 that they can vote? Or?
That they can register. Well, yeah, they could vote early before they turn 18 because eligibility is determined on election day.
Okay.
Yes, so they could go the first day of early voting even if they're not turning 18 until November 1st.
Really?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so in the schools, there are some schools that will allow them to register, because they're soon
Yes.
to be 18.
Yes.
So is that considered their registration?
That would be considered their registration. North Carolina actually has pre-registration for 16 and 17-year-olds. So if they go to the DMV, for example, to get their learner's permit, they're offered registration services there if they're 16 years old.
Huh.
Yes, and we just hold those in a queue until they become eligible, until they get to where they're going to be 18 by a general election, and then we process that through.
Wow, that's great.
Yes.
So tell me about this procedure at the DMV where they register you to vote.
Yeah, well, I don't know a lot about their side of it. I do know that anyone that goes and uses the DMV to get an ID card or driver's license, they are supposed to be offered voter registration. They should be asked, do you want to register to vote today or update your registration? And if the voters say yes and choose to do that, we actually get an electronic file the next day. The voters are signing like a credit card pad. They sign just like that. We don't get a paper form anymore, and that becomes their registration.
Huh. So then they're automatically registered to vote.
We still have to process it just like if it came in the mail, but yes, it comes directly to us.
And that applies to folks that have just moved here.
Yes. Yes. And then DMV also offers online voter registration. That is the only way that someone can register to vote online is through the DMV. They have a separate service from driver's license services. So you can go update your voter registration for free without having to pay to update your driver's license.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's only for people that already have a North Carolina driver's license, because essentially the DMV is vetting that person by comparing their date of birth, their driver's license number, last four of their social against their records.
When they are signing up to do this, they are registering to vote. Are they asked to put down their affiliation?
Yes.
They are. Okay. Even the young people?
Even the young people.
Huh. Well, that's something I have to think about. And while I'm thinking, I think we got to pay some bills again. Oh. Please stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. What a great place we all call home. From colorful sunsets to panoramic coastal views. The best attractions are its people, a community of friends and family. J.K. Summers, attorney at law, recognizes this fact and is proud of his work to protect their rights. Put your trust in him to prepare wills and trusts, real estate transactions, contract and LLC creations, and criminal, traffic, and civil matters. Visit oakislandlaw.com or call 910-253-5572. J.K. Summers, attorney at law. Dana Varnum has worked as Assistant Register of Deeds since 2001. She is certified in every area of this office. She has graciously met the needs of her customers, which include from attorneys to the business community. Knowledge and experience are important to safeguard the vital records of our county. She believes in an open door policy for the public to voice their concerns. As Brunswick County continues to grow, the Register of Deeds office is directly involved in this growth. Dana is certified in deeds, deeds of trust, surveys, and passport manager, to name a few. To learn more about Dana, go to her Facebook page at Dana Varnum for Register of Deeds. She is a candidate who combines experience, education, and community commitment to this position. Vote Dana Varnum, Register of Deeds.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you are a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
Welcome back, everybody, to All Things Brunswick. We've had a great show today. We are talking about a very important process with each and every individual, and that is voting. And I have as a special guest today, Sara Lavere, who is the Director of Elections in Brunswick County. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. This has been fun.
I know. We were just talking about the stickers. When you go to vote, you always get a little sticker that says "I voted," and I think it's awesome. People need to know where they come from.
So normally, the I voted sticker is just a generic sticker we order from a company that probably thousands of other boards of elections are using. But this election, for the first time, we have I voted stickers designed by a Brunswick County student.
Oh, I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, so the I voted sticker this time was designed by a middle school student, and we also have future voter stickers that were designed by a student. So any kids that come in with their parents or family members to vote, they're going to get their own custom sticker.
I think that is awesome.
Yeah.
And that would entice me to vote, I think, if I were young.
Yes, Yes. We thought that was a good way to involve the students just by giving them the opportunity to design our sticker.
You know, it seems as though every year students in that age range become more and more interested.
Yes.
And I think that's wonderful because it's very important that they do.
Yes.
You know, so, and is this something that you decided to put out there to the schools?
Well, it really started when other boards of elections across the country started having these sticker contests, and we would see the winners, and some of them were very, bizarre. Some of them were very cute. They were obviously designed by a young student or a young kid, and we thought, oh, we should do that. And so 2 of our staff members worked with the school and worked with each other and reached out to other offices to see how they did it, and we just went with it. So I think we're going to try to do this for every presidential election, is try to get a new sticker
I think
designed.
that is a great idea.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was
We
fun.
need to involve our children because they are the future.
They are.
So,
they are.
And I know that you have a young lady.
I do. I have a 9-year-old, and I think sometimes she forgets what I do.
Yeah, but I'll bet you she'll be as involved as you are.
I hope so.
Just
I hope
because
she takes interest.
I see her little projects like with Girl Scouts
yeah.
and whatnot. She's quite a smart young lady.
She is.
Yeah.
She is, and she's very very interested in what I do. What little bit she can really wrap her head around that I do. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's just recap a little bit. Folks, it's very important that you vote, okay? And you have the opportunity starting on the 17th of October until November 2nd. There will be early voting in Brunswick County. And the actual election day is November 5th. We have stated the 6 polling places for early voting, and during the election day, all of the precincts will be open for voting. Online is where you can go to make sure that you go to the proper place.
Yes.
Things that you want to make sure you do prior to that is check your ID. Check your registration, that it's up to date, and make sure that you know where you're going to vote.
Yes, make a plan. Definitely make a plan.
What did I miss?
I really think that covers it. And really, the early voting schedule's on our website. We will be putting out statistics every night. I know a lot of people want to know how many people are participating, what the partisan breakdown is. So we publish those statistics every evening once early voting closes. So
That's wonderful.
yeah, so just come to our website. All the information you need should be there.
That's great. Tell them how to get to your website, Sarah.
We have sort of a custom domain that takes you to the Brunswick County website. It's brunswickncvotes.gov.
Okay. brunswickncvotes.gov.
Yes.
Okay. And there is you can also check your registration.
Yes, we have a link right there on our homepage that takes you to the State Board of Elections voter lookup tool.
Yep. Great. So everybody vote. Be sure you vote. This is a very important election. And we'd like to see everybody use that very wonderful feature that we are allowed. I think the last one that we have, I'm not going to get into that. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure.
And thank you so much for all that you do for this county.
You're very welcome.
You are appreciated. Please join us next week, folks, when I will have as my guest Jeff Weinkoff, who is the mayor of Boiling Spring Lakes. We'd like to talk with folks about the issues, the progress with the dam, because we had a terrible storm, and other features that will interest you. So join us next week for All Things Brunswick. And thank you so much. Good night.